Welcome to the Dialogue KE. Tonight, many questions have been raised concerning the deployment of Kenyan police officers to Haiti. And to help us dissect this whole matter, I'm joined by Dennis Okore, a public policy analyst. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Rafael Obonyo, a public policy analyst. Sorry, is a consultant. I have to put that correctly. And Tony Towet, an advocate of the High Court.
Thank you so much.
Karibuni sana, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Let's. I just want to have your reaction, Wakili, regarding the High Court blocking temporarily blocking the deployment of Kenyan police to Haiti.
I think it's a petition that was presented to court by that is Ukuro Court through his party. Yeah. So essentially, the order to temporarily stop the deployment was needed because there are various stages or requirements or prerequisites that every deployment should follow before it is effected.
Rafael, do you agree with Wakili sentiment?
I mean, there are many things to this Haiti issue. One is the constitutionality of it. Is it constitutional? Then there are also other issues in terms of procedures. Has it been done in the right way? And then I think the bigger part is the interest, the public interest. I think every time you are implementing such a weighty policy decision, you need to ask, in whose interest are we doing this? And largely it should be in the interest of Kenyans. The reason why there's an uproar and why people are concerned is not so much that it is bad to go help another country. Of course, on a humanitarian basis, morally, ethically, it is important for us to do that. But then you ask yourself, what is our interest in Haiti? I mean, if it was Burundi, if it was Rwanda, if it was Congo, of course, Towet has talked about the legal procedures, which are very, very important. But most importantly, what is Kenya's interest in Haiti, a country that doesn't have a legitimate government in the sense that all the officially elected leaders have all their terms have expired. So now we only have a transitional prime minister. We do not even have, it said we don't have an embassy there. What business interest do we have there? So those are some of the questions that people are raising. And not in a way, I think people are raising those concerns, which are truly legitimate, not in a way to stop the process of, deploying our security officers there, but to understand how the procedures, because the procedure looks a bit inverted, For example, the UN Security Council has already passed a resolution supporting a Kenyan-led force to Haiti. Kenyan Parliament has not even discussed the merits and demerits of that case. The former Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary was even saying that people who will be deployed to Haiti already learning French, So it's like we are walking backwards. It's something that has already been decided, and now we are walking backwards. I think it would have been better, and I think this is a lesson to Kenya, whichever way it goes, that it is very important to start the process right, so that you work with people throughout the process, so that people don't learn about some of these things through other channels. And I think that is what is of biggest concern. The cabinet itself is not even aware of the details of. There's no cabinet discussions on this. There's no memo on this. So those are some of the things that people are questioning, and especially the common mwananchi out there.
All right, Dennis, let me pick your mind on this issue. What's your reaction on the High Court ruling today?
Yeah, I think the High Court ruling is quite a significant development in the sense that it gives the country and all those concerned an opportunity for reflection, because somehow things were moving very fast, and also in the background there are things which are also moving, and it seems that all ducks were aligned towards Haiti. And I think going to court really brings us to think about and contemplate about fundamental issues. And for me, I look at it not just from a legal point of view, but also very critically in terms of what the Constitution says. If you look at Chapter 14 of the Constitution, which really stipulates the architecture, the functions, and what our security agencies are supposed to do. And it now will be a question of process, legality, but also looking at what my colleague Raphael has mentioned in terms of interest. But I think the issue of interest is also quite significant because of the recent happenings in the global stage, the pronouncement by the president, and also the reaction of some of the countries like Americans who have been there very significantly, not only in this dispensation where there's been a civil upheaval, but even during the Haiti earthquake. America has been so much there, and also the French. So why Kenya is a big question that I think going to court now will really bring this into the public domain, and we really align where the public interest, the foreign interest, and even where our foreign policy lies in the whole conversation.
Talking of the legality of this whole issue, let me let me introduce you to this now. Former Defense CS Eugene Wamalwa and also former Chief Justice Willy Mutunga have actually labeled the move as illegal and risky. As an advocate, do you agree with the sentiments?
If I try to look at the legality of it, it will, severe from the political view of everything. First of all, when you asked about the courts today, I think it's a right of everyone to go to court. That's according to Article 258 of 1 of the Constitution. But again, if we try to look at the legality of everything, you see the president has given a promise. He has offered. To offer and to promise does not mean action. It means that you, as an embodiment of the people of Kenya, the symbol of unity, and the voices of people of Kenya, he has offered to deploy. And when it comes to issues of deployment, the legality of deployment, there are three tiers of deployment that is envisaged in the Constitution, and also enabling laws. That will be the National Police Act. We also go to the National Police Commission, and also goes to the National Police would be transfers and deployment regulations of 2015. If you look at these particular laws with a keen eye, you're going to find out that none of the laws, but especially the Constitution, but none of the other laws really speaks into the issues that are at play right now. The issues that are at play right now are those ones that are covered under Article 2526 of the Constitution, where it says that those charters, those conventions that have been ratified in Kenya, this one including the UN Charter, that enabled the pronunciation of the president. So to dig deeper into it, we're going to look at Chapter 7 of the UN Charter that starts all the way from Article 39, goes all the way to 45 and beyond. When an issue has been picked up by the United Security Council that shows that it can destabilize global security, there are means in which the National Security Council, which Kenya is, has ratified as among the laws that is going to apply in Kenya, it is going to invite its member states to provide facilities, equipments, and territory access, so that they can be able to quell down such things that could cause a threat to international security, global security. When you come to the ratification, once there is something called multinational, it's called MMS, multinational security something, that each and every once it is passed, for this one it was passed by 13 countries, and Russia and China absconded, or they did not vote for it. But it doesn't outweigh the reasons why the vote by about 13 countries. So to say this is, to say that what the president has done is legal to some extent because he has just offered. And in Kenya now, when you talk about Article 240 of the Constitution, that is Article 240 sub Article 8 of the Constitution, we are talking about a decision that has been made by the National Security Council. National Security Council that is chaired by the president, by the deputy president, the cabinet secretary for defense, cabinet secretary for the interior, and all of those other people, attorney general, and all those other people. Once they sit down and pass a resolution, it is going to be subject to the approval of the National Assembly. That's why Kithure Kindiki
actually yesterday he said that the parliament is going to approve the same.
So when my friend says that it has been done in reverse, I do not think so. This is just an offer the president gave when they sat in that national security, could be council or something. So now there's giving the aspiration of its people to participate in restoring global peace.
But the question is, why allow Kenya to go to the mission in Haiti while the parliament is not approved? Why don't we start the process from bottom all the way to the top?
I have a simple answer. I have a simple answer to that. When the president left the country, when he was going to the meeting in wherever that was, he did not know the resolution of the National UN Security Council. That these were when everything was discussed, and under Article 39 of the UN Charter, it popped up as an issue. The Haiti popped up as an issue that requires international intervention by member states of the UN. So this means that you have, as a representative of the people who you have, taken initiative to go to such meetings, you have to have, a resolution as a person that I offer this and this and this and this. Then when you come to back to the country, then you come now and regularize it. I'm very sure the president is not acting, in ignorance. President has, people who advise him that know what is going to happen. Because especially right now, of course, that right under Article 258(1) cannot be taken away from the people, cannot be taken away from the Kuro Court. But there is one thing that we need to, amplify, that everyone should know, that the president is acting in the best interest of the country. Best interest of the country. He has talked about interest of the country. We do not have any interest in Haiti, but we have interest in global security, and any destabilization in the global security would affect Kenya.
Common Mwananchi will argue that we have our own issues. The issue of Al-Shabaab in the country, in the coastal areas, the issue of the bandits. We are yet to calm all these situations. Why do we need to go to Haiti?
Yeah, and I think that is one of the issues that has been raised in the petition that has been submitted to High Court on the issue of public participation. What is the public saying about all this? And we are a country of laws. The Constitution is the foundation of our republic. It's really not about the person in office. If it was about the person in office, today it will be Towet, a very good, reasonable gentleman. Tomorrow it might be Raphael Obonyo, a vicious, self-centered, greedy human being. So we cannot really rely on the person in the office. The only thing that we can rely on is the Constitution. And that's why the question should be not about the interest of the person in the office, who is the president of the republic, but is it in line with the Constitution? So that tomorrow, when someone else is in the office and does not necessarily have the interest of the people, we can hold him accountable using the Constitution. So that is one thing. The other thing that I would mention is Towet says the president offered. He just spoke and gave the aspiration. Remember, when you hold an office, a public office, a state officer, and especially at the level of presidency, whatever pronouncement you make, those are policy pronouncements. That's why when the president said, for example, we should allow people to get into the forest and, for example, cut down trees, logging, immediately people get in there because it's almost considered to be a policy pronouncement. The president has said it. So the president can, and it's the unfortunate thing about being in that office, that whatever you say, it is quickly picked up as a policy pronouncement. So the only thing that can be done is to regularize it, but you cannot dismiss it because it's almost considered to be a policy pronouncement. That's why it's very, very important that whenever the president says anything, you should know that that is almost a policy pronouncement. And lastly, is that the Haiti issue, Towet, is not an urgent matter. This is not a matter that came up yesterday. The Prime Minister of Haiti presented this request to the UN Security Council 1 year ago, not yesterday. This is not something that came as a shocker to anyone. This is something that the UN Security Council has had for the last 1 year. What hasn't happened is that there is no country that offered to lead the force, because the last time countries went there, things fell apart. So there was no country that was coming up to take up this. So even Kenya, in the case of Kenya, it wasn't an urgent matter. The president would have still said, give me time to go back, because we're a country of laws, to go and engage the various apparatus or institutions that are required, and then we can take it through the other process. Because actually, even now, the deployment is not being done tomorrow, next week, next month. This is a deployment that even the UN Security Council does not know the timeline. Mm-hmm. The only thing that it has done is the approval. This is something that can even be done next year, mid-next year. So there's no urgency. So why is it that for the UN Security Council, there's no urgency, but for Kenya, there's urgency to deploy our security without following the right procedures? So those are some of the questions.
Okay, Dennis, many nations have been to Haiti on the peace mission. Most of them have not succeeded. Why do you think, in your opinion, as a country, we are going to lead that mission and be successful? What's the probability?
Yeah, I've not been to Haiti myself, but from what I've interacted with this, as Raphael rightly put it, the situation in Haiti is quite complex, and that's why there's been varied level of success. So one of the things that happened in the recent years, not very recent, but almost it's more than a decade actually, the earthquake that happened in 2010 was a defining moment in Haiti. But even historically, if you look at the social structure, the political systems in Haiti, it's been a fragile country, and one of those countries with, if you look at the socioeconomic strata of that country, it's just been wanting. So a trigger like the earthquake, which really destabilized all systems, including the political systems, the infrastructure, and here when I talk about infrastructure is the hardware and also the institutional infrastructure, they were really brought down. So you look at such a country and struggling to come back to itself. Of course, there was a lot of humanitarian intervention, but one of the things that they're really struggling was that even after the earthquake, there was a lot of struggle in terms of helping it rebuild. And I remember the Clinton Foundation was there very actively. They also didn't do a very good job. And because of this lack of jobs, lack of incomes, slowly by slowly, it becomes a man-eat-all society. People were fending for themselves. And slowly by slowly, we started seeing gangs coming up. Now, if you look at the interventions that have been there, of course, there have been interventions from France, from US and the big countries, as well as other countries around the Caribbean. And one of the focus has been to help them to manage that process of institution remaking actually. But as that has happened also, these countries have had some kind of interest. So I will see that as a sign that maybe perhaps the president of Kenya will have considered to see why we need to come back, and I really concur with what he has said, that he will have come back and reflected and not made an announcement the way he did. But looking at Kenya, Kenya has had some level of success in such kind of interventions before. During the Yugoslavian crisis in Kosovo, we've intervened in other areas in Sierra Leone, in West Africa, and all that, and around our neighbors in terms of supporting those countries, not just on peacekeeping fronts, but also supporting them in terms of putting up some institutions like for peace and security, and even like right now in the Tigrayan region. But one of the things that makes this a complex affair is that previously we've used the military, and Wakili has really given us the statutes that really govern this. And if you look at Article 238, 239, and 240 of the constitutions, those articles talks about the principles of national security, the composition, as well as the National Security Council, which he has really talked about so well. So you will see here, one question is why deploy the police and not the military? And that is a question that maybe we might debate. But I think our success also here will be determined by the people or the kind of problem we are solving. These are gangs. It's so easy to control or deal with people who have an ideology. Like they could be militants, they could be some rebel groups. They're governed by an ideology. But gangs are so fragmented. They pop up when the situation really demands. And as we speak right now, there is one of the gangs. It's so big; it has like almost 20,000 members. And Kenya is saying is deploying, I think, around 1,000.
Yeah.
So you can see they will struggle. The other thing they will struggle with is the issue of language.
The language
Yeah, language is a real issue. The third thing is looking at it from a social perspective is that the gangs have some camaraderie that is there that also in one way harming the people. So it depends on how this force that Kenya is sending there will endear themselves with the people of Haiti, which I think will really take a lot of time. So chances of success is very limited. I don't see how it will happen because even the people of Haiti themselves, they are like we've been seeing some images already of some demonstrations, and those are gangs.
Yeah.
Those are gangs.
Actually, the gang leader warned against the deployment of Kenyan police
Yeah.
in Haiti. I don't know. UNICEF said that the success of the mission will be quite limited. How about you? Do you think?
Yeah, I think, I mean, all of us would wish that Kenya succeeds on a mission like that. And I think the president did say something quite important in justifying, part of the justification why we need to reach out and help Haiti is on Pan-Africanism basis. I think that basically shows that we do not have any other interest in Haiti other than just helping the country to be stable. Why the previous missions have failed is that perhaps Haiti saw them as people who had extra interest other than just helping them. So perhaps Kenya might be seen as a brotherly country that is really just coming to help people put their house in order. So chances are they might be more receptive to Kenya. But I remain also guardedly optimistic because the resolution that was passed by the UN Security Council only had one country providing the force, which is Kenya. The other countries, Jamaica, Barbados, all the others have said they are going to provide personnel, not necessarily force. So as it stands, it's only Kenya that is going to provide a security. Why is it that even after Kenya has offered to provide, to lead the force, no other country is coming forward to say, look, we also want to add, just like it has happened within the other frameworks, whether we are talking about AMISON in Somalia, whether we are talking about the current situation in Congo. It's not always one country going, it's always a country leading, but there are also other countries also topping up. So I'm really concerned about that UN Security Council could not pay back the positive gesture that Kenya has made and say, look, Kenya has offered 1,000. This is a situation that truly cannot be managed by 1,000 police officers. This is a situation that requires a big number. We are also going to follow it up. Why is it that UN Security Council is not taking up that responsibility to urge other countries, not just to offer personnel, because personnel is largely humanitarian.
Yeah.
And imagine countries so close as Jamaica are saying they're not offering their security officers, they're offering personnel, which is largely humanitarian. So that really also leaves Kenya a bit exposed. Countries like the US, who have volunteered to provide resources, they're providing resources and standing back. And the situation in Haiti is dire. Ecologists gave us a bit of it, but if you look at the socioeconomic situation in Haiti, over 60% of people in Haiti are actually living below, they say they're living below the poverty line, $2 a day. Poor people. We do not have a legitimate government there as it stands. You know, if you have a government, it is easier because the lasting solution is really not in Kenya going to Haiti. The lasting solution in a situation like that relies with the government of the day, because we are going in to back the government of the day. As it stands, there is no legitimate government. So who is this that is going to give Kenya the cushion that it needs, the foundation that it needs, the backing that it needs while in Haiti? I think
how safe are the police?
How safe are the police? You know, the language things, at least those are things that can, people can learn French. We all learn this foreign language. But a situation where you are on your own in a country that you have no idea about, I think it can be really, really tough. But I think once the other hurdles have been cleared, I think it will be great to see how Kenya performs, because truly Haiti, like we all knew, requires help. I'm not sure if it requires help from Kenya only. Yeah. And I'm not sure if it is Kenya only that is concerned about the global situation. Other countries need to step in.
You talked about the urgency of the matter, and actually IPOA, the Independent Police Oversight Authority, CEO Elema Halake said actually they're in the dark. They don't know which unit of the police will be sent to the war-torn Caribbean country. I mean, why is our president
even mentioned the issues of welfare, like how will this force that is going there, where will they going to stay, and how are they going to be received, and just their well-being as they deliver on this mandate. And it really touches on what he said, like who is going to receive them there. A proper structured system that's going to say, oh, these people are coming to help us, so they need to integrate, or we need to show them the way. So I think those are some of the things what this case that is in court will really put us to. And I hope they will really discuss those issues beyond looking at the legality of it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. If the court finds that it's illegal, do you think as a country we are going to proceed with this? Is there any possibility?
Well, we are not allowed to preempt courts because if we do that, we will be trying to usurp, the function of the court, which is essentially, as Okora said, is to try and test the legality and talk about the constitutional, meaning and stipulation of the constitution or the position of the law in whatever is going on. But all along, I think we got lost, as I was trying to also uptake the take of our co-panelists, and we have gone to where we are trying to we are trying to massage the police and say these people, they want to be received. This is an issue that we need to take it head on, because Kenya is trying to stamp an authority in or participate in the world processes of the world, to give itself a place in the world. It has taken it has had victories all along, from Sierra Leone, come to Somalia, come to Congo. We have really showed ourselves as people who are ready to take the bull by the horns.
But Wakili, the success we've had is military.
No. No.
Yeah.
And you know, there is a case by Jacoyo Mediwo
Yeah.
that he took the cabinet secretary for internal security to court. That case was done by Justice Majanja. And no, he was talking about, you know, the deployment of our military personnel, that is KDF, into Baragoi, into, you know, Garissa, into certain other places that had insecurity. And, you know, Jacoyo Mediwo was trying to say, you know, this is illegal for, you know, KDF to go into issues and affairs of the of inside the country, yet, you know, they've been trained for external issues. And, you know, because by the nature of their training, they could be so harsh to the population, that is to the citizens, that, you know, the results could be unmitigable. But again, we are, you know, confronted by a situation where the infrastructure of, you know, Article 243, the National Police Service, as you know, made the National Police Service and all the police to only be concerned about issues in the country,
Correct.
but not issues outside the borders of the country. You know, someone would say that we are trying, you know, we are trying to approach an issue that is so big using, you know, a solution that is so small. But look at it this way. In Haiti, we are trying to go and solve issues that are internal issues of the country. And I have said before that Article 39, you know, mandates the United Nations Security Council to do such things, where something pops up, says, you know, something that could cause a global threat. I think if we lose the threat of our argument, we plunge into emotional issues that are not actually at play at what we are talking about. What we are talking about is that Kenyan police have been known, and I know this one will bring issues.
No, we are waiting to hear how they are known.
Yes.
Yeah.
Known, you know, for, you know, quelming uprisings that, you know, I would say could be able to destabilize the structures of a nation. Essentially, when we talk about the Haitian situation, their topology, political topology, you know, has been toppled down because these gangs that, you know, Okore has said, have been able to have an upsurge so that the whole nation is now under threat. The function of the police of Kenya, among other people, among other, you know, humanitarian personnel that we have been told are going to be deployed there, is to assuage the let's say, let's take it like, you know, a big bowl that has a boiling water. And, you know, everything is boiling inside, and the police are sent there so that they can assuage it, to be able to let it out and let the country work again.
Can I just say something, Kennedy? I think just quickly. One is part of the counter argument for taking for Kenya going into Haiti has been based on the failure of the previous missions. And what was the failure of the previous missions? One of them is the use of force on the populace, because the use of force in a foreign country can cause even bigger problems. And that is why you normally see when UN Security Council, or UN peace missions or AU peace missions are sent to a country, it is never to harm or quell it is always to find a way of just stopping them from engaging in violence without using force. So in this case, and Okore has told us, we are dealing with gangs. You know, these are not people you are going to engage and interact with, and you're going to use force. And that is what the UN Security Council didn't want to discuss, of how are we going to, what approach are we going to use in a situation where there is no legitimate government. So that is one. Two, if you look at the mission in Iraq, the US mission in Iraq, part of the reason why it failed, and now Libya, part of the reason why we are having the kind of situation that we have both in Iraq and Libya is because there was no government to hand over to after you've done what you call stabilizing the country. whom did US hand over the country to after they said they had already quelled everything? Whom did they hand over to in Libya after they said they had quelled over to? So that is what is going to happen in Haiti if there is no, if this matter is not thought through properly. Because Kenya is not going to be there for forever. Kenya has to hand over to, remember the reason why actually the situation in Haiti, the UN Security Council is taking it seriously, and the US as one of the countries with veto powers, is because Haiti is supposed to do elections. So all this stabilization is for Haiti to have an election. Are we ready for a situation where if election doesn't happen, then we will have, Kenya will be there for the long haul? I really don't know. So that is why it is very important to have someone on the ground, so that after you've done all these other things, you hand it over, because Kenya is not going to take over another country. That is called occupation. You cannot do that.
Okay, as you conclude, Dennis, as a country, moving forward, should we abort the mission or proceed with it, in your own opinion?
Yeah, for me, I will look at the country as Kenya, and we have a couple of challenges, and I think we need our police more than they're needed in Haiti. And I say this because if you look at even the ratios of citizen, like one police serves approximately 190 people, yeah. And that number in itself really shows you something. And we already have some challenges within the country. Where I come from, in my village in Nyakach, there's been issues of fighting, border issues. We have issues in Lamu. We have issues in Samburu, you know. These are issues where we need our police more than they are needed there. So I think for me, I will be at peace if we were sending our military, whom our brother, I think, is referring of the success. But I don't think our police have had that success that we can match with the military. Our military have been so good. And I think I'll be at home when they're saying we are sending our military there. And they're very experienced, and we have been fitted for that. So I think we need to think about our country and think about our police, because we even need the numbers. Yeah, we need the numbers. So we are now reducing from where we don't have. So I think I'm having a conservative thought around that deployment.
Will you consider the military over the police?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. And Raphael, should we abort the mission or proceed with it?
It doesn't go wrong. It starts wrong. So it started wrong. And I think that's the reason why we should abort that mission, because it hasn't started right, in the sense that we cannot have it starting in New York, coming down to Kenya. It has to start here. So we need to hear our cabinet members conversing on this issue. We need to see Parliament, National Assembly debating robustly on this issue. We need the public itself to engage on this matter. Then that way it will be really something that Kenyans can now say, look, we all agreed that we should go in, or we shouldn't go in. But the way, doing all the analysis, it looks like we are setting ourselves for real failure. And it's a risky endeavor. It does not necessarily mean that we can't succeed. We can, but what is required is not really what we are offering. And like I said, it's something that requires more thought, bigger support, not just Kenya. It's not just us that are concerned about the global affairs. We should see many more people coming into play. But as it is, I think it wasn't done right. Information is scanty. But the good thing is, why I like the court procedures and court processes, is that way we'll get to know where did this emanate from, who gave this approval, who else is involved in this. Then that way we'll be able to, as it is, the information that we currently have, I think would favor anyone to say we shouldn't go in there, because it's so scanty, so limited, and looks like it's not in our favor at all. Yeah.
Wakili, I know you've said that you need to stamp our authority as a nation in the world. I'm sure you would say we proceed with it, or am I wrong with that?
The scarcity of food in a home does not mean that we are not going to give charity. Our inability to help ourselves just like, Okore has said, does not mean that we are not going to help others. And, this is a chance that has presented itself so that our police officers could learn more, so that we could expose ourselves to possibilities that has ever presented itself before.
So we should proceed with the mission.
I believe that, apart from the regularization, which, involves only the issue with, Article 240 sub Article 8, I do not, and I do not think that there is any barrier for us to be able to make a name for ourselves and be able, to take the lead in the continent. As you know, we are also trying other things, inside the country and, a continent as a whole. I do not think that we should limit ourselves and, make ourselves feel like we are so small and make ourselves feel like we can do nothing. When, the situation has presented itself and it needs men to handle it. And I believe Kenyans, they say that, an average Kenyan
Yeah.
man, could serve in the US military without even having any issue because they are tough already.
All right. I guess that's a good point to end it there. Kenyans are tough already. Let's wait and see what the courts will say regarding the matter. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. That has been Dennis Okore, a public policy consultant, Rafael Obonyo, a public policy analyst, and our advocate in the panel, Tony Toet. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much for watching the Dialogue KE. Let's meet again next week on Monday, same place, same time. I've been your host, Kennedy Kimani. Enjoy the rest of our programming.